Imagine a scenario where there are 4 persons. One of them is Sham, who is son of a poor farmer who just finished his education and wanted to start a small business. Meena is a girl very good at communication, working hard at a grocery store for a very little amount of wage, which is barely covering her household expenses. She is thinking of joining a spoken English course with which she can able to get a job at call center where she can have a decent earning. But she doesn't have any money to invest in her course. Radha is a single mom who is working hard as a maid whose daughter is in final year of her graduation. She had to quit her education as she is unable to pay her final semester college fees. And the last one is Hrithik. He is son of a businessman who wanted to expand his business. When 4 of them approached a bank for a loan, who would more likely to get a loan immediately? Though Hrithik is not in a dire need of money, he will get a loan more easily as compared to the others. Why? Well, when a bank is lending you money, the first thing it will be looking for is credit worthiness of an individual. In other words, the capability of a person to pay back the loan. As Sham, Meena, Radha belongs to the population who doesn't even have a bank account, it is almost impossible for them to get a bank loan. These are not the stories of just 3 individuals. There are millions of people with similar stories and who don't have access to very important financial services. This concept of providing financial services to low-income people is called microfinance. But unfortunately, our current banking system has not been able to develop a system that can make these financial services easily accessible to the poor population. This is due to 3 main reasons. Number 1, providing microloans is not seen as profitable by banks. Number 2, lack of digital identities. Most people belonging to poor populations do not have valid IDs. They don't have permanent addresses and hence banks cannot trust them. Last but not least, there is no way to determine their credit worthiness as they don't have a credit or a transaction history and also they don't have a bank account. It is almost impossible to determine their credit worthiness, which is why Mudra loans, which are typically microfinance loans, have a freaking 71% of NPAs. Because of all these reasons, the poor populations of India cannot get loans easily from a bank. So what are their options? Going to a moneylender who would charge nearly 50 to 80% interest on which they borrow is quite impossible for them to pay back. If they did take the loan, they will be stuck in debt and poverty for the rest of their lives. This is the reason we often get to see the farmer suicides and many horrible cases in low-income poor families. Credit is one of the miracles of economy that is so powerful that when done right, it can double the income of poorest in the country, which also can add billions of dollars to our current GDP, which leads us to several questions. How we can double the income of poor people in country, and most importantly, how we can build a next generation banking system to uplift the poor of our country. Can we provide economic identity to this poor? How can we bank this unbanked? Lot of pretty hard challenges, right? Well, what if I say there is one revolutionary technology which can be a possible solution for this big poverty problem of India, which is the blockchain technology. So what exactly is this blockchain technology? This is actually a big concept, but I'll try to explain it as simple as possible. Normally, when we do a transaction, the banks keep the record of our transactions in form of a ledger, which is kept private with the banks. The blockchain fulfills the same exact thing bank was doing, but instead it is done publicly. So there will be no discrepancies as everything is public, which ensures security, transparency and decentralization. But how can we eliminate poverty using this tech? Well, to understand this clearly, let's go to Ethiopia. Ethiopia is one of the poorest countries in the world. The condition of Ethiopia is so bad that nearly 60% of its population is still living in extreme poverty, and the systems in this country is so corrupt that people cannot even rely on banks, government or judiciary. Fortunately, blockchain became a blessing to this country. In April 2021, the Education Ministry of Ethiopia officially declared that it will collaborate with IOHK, which is the parent company of a blockchain called Cardano, and together they plan to build a robust identification system, eventually to lay the foundations to redefine the way of banking is done in Africa. Bitcoin and Ethereum being the first and second generation cryptocurrencies, Cardano claims to be third generation of cryptocurrencies. Unlike Bitcoin, which is notorious for its energy consumption and quite environmentally unsustainable, Cardano is surprisingly 1.6 million times more energy efficient as compared to Bitcoin, which makes it more suitable to use in poor countries like Ethiopia. And IOHK plans to develop a tool called Atala Prism, which is built on Cardano blockchain to revolutionize the fundamental systems in Ethiopia. This is going to be implemented in multiple phases. The first phase will be focusing on providing digital identities to students, using which their academic credentials and their identity verification can be provided. This can also be used as a verification feature by financial institutions. Therefore, the first challenge of microfinance is being solved, which is lack of authentic digital identity. The second phase is all about developing a traceable system to track peer-to-peer transactions, which means these people do not have a credit history. The blockchain will start computing the credibility of a person by looking at their day-to-day digital transactions. For example, let's say you're a worker at a factory. Primarily, the blockchain will enable you to make digital transactions by which you can buy, sell, borrow and lend money through a digital IDs. So let's say if you borrow 500 rupees from your friend and if you return it within 30 days, the system will understand that you have a capability to pay back those 500 rupees in 30 days. Similarly, the system will note down your day-to-day transactions. If you are able to save 100 rupees per month consistently, the system will know. You pay your monthly EMIs, electricity bills and other monthly expenses time to time, the system will know. Similarly, if you are a person who never pays back, the system will note down that too, and the system will automatically reduce your credit worthiness accordingly. By analyzing these patterns of microtransactions, the system can calculate your credit worthiness easily. And this is how the second challenge of microfinance can be solved, which is lack of credit and transaction history. Eventually, when both these challenges are solved, automatically the third challenge also can be solved, which is profitability of microfinance. And the best part of blockchain is all this can be done without depending upon a bank in a decentralized system, which is non-hackable, non-corruptible, and super efficient. And most importantly, it is environmentally sustainable. This is exactly how a country like Ethiopia is envisioning to solve its crisis using this revolutionary blockchain technology. There are three very important points. Number 1. Just like Ethiopia, the citizens of India is at bottom of pyramid, desperately in need of a reliable microfinancing system. Number 2. If this robust system of creditworthiness is built, the single mothers like Ms. Radha will be able to pay their daughter's college fee. And once her daughter is in a payroll of a corporate company, she will be earning lakhs of rupees. From then, the next generation will no longer need these microfinancial services. Moreover, think about how much her daughter earnings and taxes add to the country's GDP. Likewise, many Meenas can join their favorite course and make their living better, and many Shams can start their own businesses. This decreases the great divide between rich and poor. Do you know that top 10% of richest in our country holds more than 77% of national wealth and the poorest 60% have less than 5%? This is increasing day by day. Rich are getting richer, poor are getting much poorer. With this technology, this gap can be bridged. The unbanked in India can be banked very easily. Loans can be provided at very low rates of interest, as banks know the credit worthiness of individuals. Low rates of interest are possible as no risks involved and no NPAs. Donations for schools, children education, scholarships, flood relief funds, all these transactions will be transparent and clean. The system of microlending needs to be treated as a pipeline to empower the poor, rather than looking at it like a single profitable venture. And last and most importantly, if a country like Ethiopia, without a stable government, without a stable internet connectivity, and which has the one of the poorest populations on the planet, has the audacity to experiment with blockchain, a country like India is a paradise for this revolutionary technology. As we are already years ahead and has an amazing internet connectivity, great financial institutions, and most importantly, we have a stable government in place. Therefore, it is the time we at least start experimenting with this revolutionary blockchain technology. It can give us a chance to be a superpower to transform the lives of the poorest of our country. If you like this video, please share the video with as many people as possible, because the biggest challenges can be addressed with innovative solutions. Unless we join our hands together, we cannot bring these reforms in our financial and political systems. So let's join our hands and let's build a better lives for the poor, and let's make our country a much better place without this poverty. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up by hitting the like button down below the video. And more videos are coming. Why don't you hit that subscribe button and don't forget to press that bell icon. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Till then, stay curious, stay logical. Peace.